Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is continuing the rejection from this important resistance. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about what I now expect for Bitcoin in the short term, while the price of Ethereum is starting to break below this very important line of support, while the price of Solana is also potentially breaking below key support, while XRP has already just confirmed a break below this important area of support, while the price of Chainlink is also breaking below key support in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on this weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now the price of Bitcoin can technically still remain within a larger bull market considering the higher lows and higher highs on the larger time frames. So on this weekly Bitcoin chart, not a lot has changed over the last few days, but if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, looking at the weekly Bitcoin MACD, essentially right now we are just beginning a possible bearish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. And now I want to make it extra clear that in order for this possible bearish crossover to actually confirm in this indicator on this time frame, we need to first see a weekly candle close to actually confirm it in place. So for now, it's possibly happening, but not confirmed. And in case you're wondering, the next weekly candle close confirms in a little over 4 days from now. So basically, we need to see some sort of bullish movement within the next 4 days, a decent little bounce to the upside, not necessarily a massive move, just in order to avoid this weekly crossover right here in the MACD before this next weekly candle close in around 4 days. Because if we actually avoid the bearish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD, it's possible we could still play out very similar price action to what we saw around 1 year ago, because we did see very similar signals compared to what we're seeing right now pretty much exactly 1 year ago. And of course, that resulted in a massive bullish move over the next few weeks and months. But that's ultimately because we never actually confirmed that bearish crossover in this indicator, and instead we saw a breakout above this key level of resistance that we were seeing back then in the price of Bitcoin. And the key level of resistance right now is mainly at around 107k, give or take. So for now, of course, we need to see a breakout above ideally 107,000 in order to start flipping much more bullish and expect the next major bullish move in the larger bull market. But on the other hand, if we actually confirm the bearish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD, either with this weekly candle close or perhaps with the next weekly candle close in a little over a week from now, around 1.5 weeks from now, then in that case, obviously a bearish crossover in this MACD indicator would be a bearish signal for Bitcoin on the larger time frames, not just in the short term, because remember, this is obviously on the weekly time frame, and the last time we saw a bearish crossover confirm in the weekly Bitcoin MACD, we saw a larger bearish trend start to play out in the price of Bitcoin for around half a year. And so just keep that in mind. We're on the edge of potentially flipping in this indicator, but it has not been confirmed. So of course, I will keep you up to date every day on what's happening on this chart right here and many other important charts. So make sure you stay subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of this important information. And if we're taking a look at this 4-day Bitcoin chart, technically the super trendy indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And looking at this weekly Bitcoin chart, we're still, of course, seeing a massive bearish divergence with higher highs in the price and lower highs in the RSI, which is a sign that we're losing bullish momentum in the bull market. And so as I explained recently here on the channel, honestly, the next 1 to 2 weeks or so will be very important for the price of Bitcoin when it comes to what we should be expecting over the next few months. Because if we see a quick breakout at some point in the next 1 or 2 weeks, that would avoid the bearish crossover in this MACD indicator and possibly invalidate, at least temporarily invalidate, this bearish divergence with a new higher high. And especially if we create a new higher high in the RSI, that would be very good news for the coming months for the price of Bitcoin if we could see that at some point in the next 1 or 2 weeks. But if we do not see any sort of decent bullish movement, at least in the next 2 weeks or so, there's a good chance that honestly we could start a bit more of a larger bearish trend, at least for a number of months. But as crypto traders, obviously it doesn't matter if the price is bullish or bearish, because we can make money in either direction with, for example, long positions if the price is bullish, or short positions if the price is bearish. So we can profit no matter what the price is doing. And if you want to know where I'm taking a lot of my trades right now, personally, I take a lot of my trades over on Bitfinex. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can sign up to Bitfinex. And if you use that link, you can claim an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitfinex exchange forever. But that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your account and then start trading on that account to take advantage of this massive fee discount. And also, if you use that link, you can get this 5,500 USDT bonus, which is also available if you use the link to start trading on that account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex as an exchange, there is also Bybit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bybit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, taking a look at this 8-hour Bitcoin chart, and as of right now, just in the shorter term, the price of Bitcoin is continuing the rejection from this major area of resistance, and that's sitting in between around 101,000 to 103,000. So as I've been saying since before that latest rejection, expect the price to struggle in that exact price range, and that's exactly what we saw as expected. And so it's still very much clear that at least in the short term, the price is lacking bullish momentum, because basically the only bullish price action that we're seeing is either bouncing from key support or playing out an oversold signal, for example. So some sort of other bullish factor that can help support the price, but not really showing a lot of momentum, a lot of follow through. And so that is simply the situation right now, lacking bullish momentum, rejecting from resistance. And honestly, I would not be surprised if we see a little bit more of a pullback in the immediate short term, possibly over the next 1 or 2 days, back down closer towards around these candle closes on the 8-hour time frame, which is sitting at around 95 to 96,000, and then around 95 to 96k. I would expect some support around there, based on the candle closes and also based on these candle wicks at around 96,000, and also previous resistance becoming new supports at close to 96,000. And also, oftentimes when we see a major dump like this and then an initial bounce back to the upside, oftentimes a lot of that bounce back to the upside actually retraces again back down towards basically where we initially dumped, not necessarily lower than the lowest point. As I've said recently here on the channel, I don't expect the price to go lower than this lowest point right here at around 91k, at least for the next few days or weeks. Possibly at some point longer term, the price could be trading below this point. I'm not saying it can never go below this point, but at least for the next few days or weeks, I don't expect the price to go below around 91,000. But in the immediate short term, as I just said earlier, we could still potentially see a little bit more bearish price action, maybe down towards 95 to 96k. So keep that in mind. But some good news is, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, a lot of these funding rates are still either negative or still very much at least below the neutral rate, because the neutral funding rate is 0.01%. So essentially, these are looking slightly more bullish than they are bearish. And so that essentially tells us that we should not really be expecting a massive amount of bearish momentum like this, possibly a little bit of bearish price action, like I just said, maybe down towards some of these levels of support and then bouncing around these levels, but not necessarily a lot of bearish momentum due to the fact that the funding rates are still below neutral, which means essentially the short positions having to pay extra fees right now to the long positions. And so essentially that financially incentivizes more long positions to open and more short positions to close. And the process of that happening helps to support the price of Bitcoin in the bullish direction. But remember, as I said earlier, we are lacking bullish momentum overall in the Bitcoin price and also really the overall crypto market, at least in the shorter term. So ultimately, this leads to potentially a little bit more choppy sideways price action with maybe a slight little pullback first down towards these lower levels, as I just said, followed by perhaps a slight little bounce. And basically price action like that is what I expect over the next 1 or 2 days. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now the price of ETH is on the very edge of potentially confirming a break below this key Fibonacci level of support, which was also previous resistance and previous support, and that was sitting at around 2.8k. And obviously, as of recording this video, the price of ETH is already trading below 2.8k, but we're still waiting for a 3-day candle close to actually confirm the break below that level. And in case you're wondering, the next 3-day candle close confirms in roughly around 5 hours from now as of recording this video. And so essentially at exactly midnight UTC, this 3-day candle close confirms. And if it's sitting well below 2.8k, that would be one strong confirmation signal confirming the break below that Fibonacci level, which would of course be bearish for the price of ETH. And as for other levels of support to the downside, in terms of these retracement levels, we have the 50% retracement level sitting at around 2.5k, and the all-important golden pocket area of support sitting in between 2150 to 2.2k. But we could also find a bit of short-term support at around 2650 to basically just underneath 2.7k based on previous resistance right here, becoming new support at just underneath 2.7k. And honestly, the price of ETH will likely play out very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin continues a little bit more of a pullback in the short term, Ethereum will likely play out something similar. Or if Bitcoin chops around sideways, Ethereum would also play out something similar. Obviously not the exact same price action, but something similar. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, Solana is attempting a break below this important area of support, which is sitting in between around 200 to 205 approximately, but we're still waiting for a candle close to actually confirm the break to the downside. So at least as of recording this video, even though we are attempting a break to the downside, this is not yet confirmed. But if it does end up confirming, if we confirm that candle close below this area of support, and especially if we flip that area into new resistance by seeing some sort of rejection like that, for example, then in that case, that would be an extra confirmation signal further confirming the break to the downside, in which case the next major area of support is sitting in between around 178 to 183. But of course, before that area would likely find some other short-term levels of support, like for example, around 191 to 192. I would expect some support around there based on previous resistance becoming new support. But overall, in the shorter term, there's a clear lack in bullish momentum. Of course, a few days ago, we did bounce from these key levels of support, but that's not really a lot of bullish momentum. Overall, the price structure or the trend as of right now is technically bearish, because at least in the 8-hour time frame, we are forming lower highs and lower lows, which is bearish price structure or a bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the daily time frame, over the last 1 day, XRP just officially confirmed a daily candle close below this important area of support, which was sitting in between around 258 to 273. And now that that has happened, that technically confirms the break below this area of support, which means the next important area of support to the downside is sitting in between around 195 to 205. So basically at roughly around $2 is the next very important level of support. But before then, we could perhaps find some support at around 226, give or take, based on these lows also acting as support, and perhaps some more support at around 212 based on this low right here and some previous lows at around $2.12 acting as support. But now that this previous area of support is clearly broken with that daily candle close and a continued follow through as of recording this video, it is very much clear that the short-term situation for XRP is simply bearish. Of course, as I've already said over the last few days, we already now have this bearish divergence, which is confirmed and playing out, causing more bearish price action in the short term. But for a couple of days, we did have this area of support that was supporting the price of XRP, basically preventing the price from going lower. But now that that area of support is broken, the bearish divergence can continue to play out in the shorter term over the coming days or possibly weeks. But remember, bearish price action is not all bad. For example, as just a simple spot trader, you could wait for some lower prices to get some cheaper XRP to accumulate for the longer term, for example, if that's your type of strategy. Or if you're more of a leverage trader, you can use this opportunity to perhaps short XRP to make profits along the way to the downside. And so we don't have to just see bullish price action in order to make money in crypto. Obviously, there's multiple things that can be good about bearish price action. But with that being said, taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the 6-hour time frame, and just a matter of hours ago, Chainlink did just confirm a 6-hour candle close below this area of support, which was sitting in between around $19.50 to $20.50. So now that we technically have broken to the downside here with that candle close, the next important level of support to the downside for Chainlink is sitting at around $18. And so there's a good chance that the price could potentially retrace back down closer towards $18 in the coming days. And of course, this area of previous support will likely become some new resistance, sitting in between around 1950 to 2050, potentially now acting as new resistance. But if we could see a quick breakout back to the upside, then in that case, we still have a lot of resistance right up here, sitting in between $22 to $22.50, which is exactly the area that we rejected from. And so overall, the price of Chainlink, along with a lot of altcoins out there, are simply looking more bearish than they are bullish, at least in the short term for a lot of the altcoin market. But we're not necessarily seeing a massive amount of bearish momentum, so I would not necessarily expect a repeat of that move that we saw just a few days ago, but potentially a little bit more bearish price action in the short term is likely. But if you want to actually trade these moves in the price of any crypto, once again, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those extra exclusive bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.